Okay. And did you have some specific discussion about not only the content of it, but some aspect of it with Papak, or not particularly?
Once he said, when there'd been a good deal more of it, he said, some people will not agree with you, but it is from the heart and it will go to the heart.
How beautiful. And so that has given, so that was basically a great change for you. Suddenly you say you were hoping to write in Yukon, suddenly that seems to be, you seem to have this inspiration. And how did it change your life then? How did you then sort of put this with having to work or wanting to do things? How did you apply what you were receiving both in this inspirational way and in practical way?
Well, the writing itself of Songs of Submission continued for another 2 years, I think it was, before it was finished. And even after I'd finished it and sent it to the publisher, and they were about to print, another 9 chapters came. And I said, hey, can you stop it? They said, all right, but not again. And I put in 9 chapters more. So there were those sort of adventures with it. But at that time, Babak said, as far as Ireland was concerned, we'd said, we're thinking of where to live. And he said, Ireland, very good place. Babak, sleep here very well. Not for you. Africa. So he sent us down to South Africa for a year. He says, not necessary to settle there, but go down there. And good for business. And which startled me at the time. And that was the one thing we were never able to fulfill. I never found a right business to invest in. But if I had, it was the time of the Sharpeville incidents, and every value was right down in South Africa. Every ship going out of South Africa was booked by the Afrikaners 2 years ahead to escape from the black insurgency which they expected. And so everything would have gone up immediately later, and I would have made a lot of money. I never found the way of implementing that. I tried a few things, but it was a lack of perceiving a guidance that Babak had given, actually. I somehow never took the business side seriously in relation to that. But while down there, the writing continued, but then we also started a lot of people in a group there. There had been 3 or 4 people already opened in SUBUD, sometimes people passing by a ship in Cape of Good Hope, opened 1 or 2 people, stayed a week or 2 and gone. But they were very isolated, and this is Johannesburg. And we started. Babak had said South Africa. I did my own testing. I'd been practicing testing for a time already. Very dubious as to whether it would be right or not, whether I could receive. But I'd tested in Cyprus on many occasions, things that were not of vital importance, so that if I got the wrong receiving, it wouldn't matter too much. And I'd begun to get the feel of when it is right and when it's unreliable, when one receives wrongly. So when Babak said South Africa, I sort of went away quietly and started testing as to where in South Africa. It's a big place, Johannesburg, Durban, where. And my testing came out to Cape Town, and I tested on when to go. It came out for, I think, December, and whether we should all go together or how. It was quite elaborate. In the end, an elaborate logistic program came out. I went first and opened up the way and found a house. Then Sophie went via Cyprus to see her parents, and then down to South Africa. And our nanny with the 2 children came direct from Ireland down to there. It was complicated. And I tested all this, And Babak said, yes, Johannesburg, right. So that was all right. And then I remember in London, standing outside American Express before booking the tickets, I thought, am I absolutely crazy? And we did that, and it all worked so smoothly, absolutely perfectly.
How many people would you say did you open in, while you were in South Africa?
In South Africa, we left a group of about 125.
In Johannesburg?
No,
or
in Cape Town.
In
Cape Town.
Would you say that it is still, was that mostly, were they only white, mixed?
Well, I'll tell you on that.
Yes.
We had no black, actually, but we were open for everything. But we had coloured and Cape coloured, as they're called, and so it was mixed in that sense. And we had Malays and Cape colours, which in South Africa in those times was quite difficult. We were reported on, and we were in a big house with a big farm round and a farm manager, and he was aware that there were mixed groups in the house, which was suspect. And we were being inquired about. We happened to know because an old friend of ours who was an ex-judge of the mixed courts in Egypt, he'd had inquiries about us from the police. So we were under a bit of suspicion for that. And we had one strange encounter in our house. We one of the people that I'd opened there was a very nice English clergyman, and he happened to come out that Sunday, and he was sitting in the sitting room with us. And then a woman whom Sophie had opened, who was a very good South African artist, and who had had such an effect through the Latihan that first of all her infirmities began to go. She'd been half paralyzed. Not paralyzed, that's technically incorrect, but her leg was, she was on sticks and she could hardly use her legs. That recovered, and her paintings, she had a new exhibition of paintings, and they all sold, which they never did ordinarily. And people came up to her and said, "But what's happened to you? Your paintings all changed." And she then told them about the Latihan. And so the same afternoon I was speaking of, this woman came, and with an old friend of hers, who was the wife of the acting Prime Minister of South Africa. And it wasn't possible really to introduce properly. And the clergyman started a conversation highly critical of the government, which was very embarrassing politically. However, again, one let the Latihan come up quietly, and everything passed perfectly peacefully, and he shut up. And then we had about 4 or 5 Malays who were due to come to Latihan that evening, and came an hour earlier than expected. And so they all came into the room together, which was a mixture which was simply not possible in South Africa. We couldn't really do the introduction. Everyone sat down, everyone was peaceful, we continued quietly inside, and everything passed all right.